Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Vihari. Hare Krishna, welcome to another session on the books are the basis, interviews with different leaders in ISKCON to talk about the importance of reading. It's organized by the ISKCON Ministry of Education. And today we are very honored to have with us His Holiness Bhakti Prema Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare
Thank you so much for joining us. So I'll just say, I just will introduce Maharaj to our listener and viewers. Of course, many of you will know Maharaj. Maharaj is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and he originally was born in 1967. He actually grew up in a Gaudiya Vaishnava culture, like the environment. And when Maharaj was at the age of 27, he met Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and then very naturally surrendered his life to Prabhupada's mission, as he already was familiar with the culture, and thus joined full-time in 1995 in Mayapur, received shortly after that second initiation, and served in many different capacities at Mayapur, as the head of the medical department, also as a Bhakti Shastri teacher, later also served for some time as a vice president in Calcutta. And I think when Maharaj started the project in Ujjain in 2004, I believe it was, then Maharaj was requested to become the temple president. And of course, in that way, was very instrumental in developing this very vibrant and successful project in Ujjain. And has been serving as a temple president till 2011, and is still serving as a co-president till today, I believe, right? And Maharaj, of course, then later on in 2015, received the renounced order of life, took sannyas. And from that point on, Maharaj still holding responsibilities in Ujjain temple, but still also doing a lot of preaching, very active in youth preaching, cultivating many young people in Krishna consciousness, also doing outreach and like village programs, many ways, spreading Krishna consciousness far and wide. And yeah, we are grateful to have Maharaj with us. Thank you. So, Maharaj, we are curious to learn about. Of course, we mentioned that you're growing up in that culture, Gaudiya Vaishnava culture. But how did you come in touch with Prabhupada's books? Do you remember the first book that you read, and do you like to share a bit about your initial days?
In Bengal, though we brought up Gaudiya culture, but that was not pure culture. Eating fish, everything. So when I was 94 to ISKCON temple, I saw everything. What is written in the scripture? What is hard since my childhood? Actually, practicing it actually. And the books, what is written in Prabhupada's books, so everybody is practicing. It is not the theoretical. And when I read Prabhupada's book, then I lose interest of reading any other book. As so powerful, so convincing, so pure, then I took a vow, until I finish Prabhupada's book, I will not touch any other book.
Jai.
So it gives me a lot of strength. And I understood that by reading other books, I have not wasted, I have polluted my life. So Prabhupada's book is so powerful, and that time I was doing job also, but I used to go to temple, buy books, and used to sell different shops, hospitals, other places. I was so convinced that there is nothing in this world is better than this. And also, I bought a whole set of book and gave my home, and all the previous books, they are thrown away. The family members are very upset.
So a very firm conviction from the very beginning. It's interesting how you mentioned that you were surprised or like impressed by the fact that the devotees were actually applying the knowledge. Like everyone was living what Prabhupada was giving in his books. Devotees were actually practicing. That was convincing to you. That's amazing.
Yeah, like in Bengal, everybody chants, but eating fish, meat, we know we have to observe Ekadashi, but not everybody. We know we do the Tilak and Tulsi Mela. Everybody knows, nobody use it.
Yeah, it's like if you grew up in Bengal, then that's kind of part of the culture or tradition, and you know it's there. Maybe your grandfather did it, but the young people, maybe not.
We have forgotten.
Yeah. So you were impressed to see the whole society of people that actually practice that. Yeah.
And the devotees' relationship, their lifestyle, it impressed me. And after some time, when Bhakti Maharaj came the temple, by seeing him and by hearing his lecture, I able to understand who was Srila Prabhupada. So I thought my life is meant for Srila Prabhupada.
So by getting in touch with Bhakti Charu Maharaj, that Prabhupada became even more.
And my English was not so good. That is why I have read the translation read by him in Bengal translation. That so it gave me both impression. This person translation and originally Prabhupada. So this is the best place for me.
Yeah. So yeah. And you mentioned before that you took a vow that you would not read any other books before you completed reading all of Prabhupada's books.
Yes.
Was that someone else told you to do that, or that came just spontaneous?
No, because by reading that book, other mission, all these things I have seen, they are in the name of religion, so many social welfare activities and not practicing four regulative principles. So then I understood they are not. I was thinking that was the real religion. They are protecting Hindu Dharma. Then by reading Prabhupada's book, I understood that actually in the name of religion, they're cheating the Hindus. So my life is already spoiled. So I don't want to spoil it more.
Wow. It's because sometimes senior devotees, they recommend, younger devotees, they like to read this book and that book, and then senior devotees maybe recommend, no, you should first read Prabhupada's books. Some even say you should read 3 times all of Prabhupada's books before you read Goswami literature or something like that. But I find it impressive that it came from yourself. You just had that spontaneous desire. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And do you remember what was the first book that you actually read? Was it Bhagavad Gita or was it Signs of Suffering?
I read first Bhagavad Gita and small books that time because in Bengal, only Bengali books. Bhagavad was translated at that time.
Okay. Yeah.
Mainly Bhagavad Gita and other small books.
Yeah. Do you still remember some, Prabhupada's words, some passage or some specific statement by Prabhupada that kind of changed your?
Yeah, like Prabhupada said, a social welfare activity. Prabhupada gave nice statement. The extended selfishness. Wow, first time hearing. Selfishness became extended. Extended selfishness. So mind-blowing thing. And Prabhupada is attacking purely like international brotherhood. You don't know the father, you are telling about brotherhood. Prabhupada is attacking UNESCO. You are telling you should, to develop country, you should develop a city. Before developing a city, you should develop a family. They stop the family. But Prabhupada attack, why family? Develop individual, soul first. Why not giving attention there? And perfect question, perfect answer in the very first page. Prabhupada is telling, teacher are cheaters. And Bob Cohen said, I am a teacher, I am teaching science. How I am cheating? Prabhupada said, hydrogen and oxygen makes. Yeah, Bob Cohen said, hydrogen and oxygen makes water. How is cheating? Prabhupada saying that is not cheating, but why they are not telling who has made hydrogen and oxygen? When they are not telling, that is cheating. So this is very powerful. Like in Science of Self-Realization, Christ said, I am the Son of God. Prabhupada saying, yes, that's true. And Krishna said, I am a father. So what is the difference? Very powerful statement.
Yeah.
And I have not seen a single, even after fault-finding attitude, in my whole life, I have not seen a single mistake in Prabhupada's writing.
That's beautiful to have, develop such a strong conviction. I don't know, sometimes some devotees, they also feel that Prabhupada has been too strong, that there is, because you have now emphasized how you felt inspiration by such a strong preaching. What would you tell to devotees if they say Prabhupada is speaking too harsh, too strong? We cannot take it. What would you advise to these devotees?
Yeah, that one person said, why Prabhupada is telling like that? So that is why Prabhupada's book is as it is. In Bhagavad Gita said, Muro, Avajananti Mang Mura. So Prabhupada said, Mura is same thing, rascal. And why we should not say rascal? Krishna said they are rascal. And Prabhupada did not say they are rascal. Then that is not as it is. That is a Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita as it is. Krishna said rascal, Prabhupada said rascal. And Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, Muro, Naradham, Ashur Garapad. So that is a statement by Krishna. Muro, Naradham, lowest of the mankind. So just Prabhupada told as it is. Prabhupada never tried to pacify the so-called scholars with sweet words.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. I think Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also mentioned that if you're a flatterer, you cannot be a guru. Like a speaker shouldn't try to please the audience, but speak the truth. And Prabhupada was very loyal to that instruction. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, so maybe let's start to discuss the importance of reading. Just in general, what would you tell devotees? Why is it important to regularly read? Like ideally on a daily basis, reading Prabhupada. Why that's important?
Because we have come to Krishna consciousness by reading book. And whole world, why I have joined ISKCON? By seeing the philosophy of ISKCON. That means written in the book. And who was a single person traveled throughout the world, but how many places you can go? But it went through books. So whatever happened in this world through books. A person, how many places can go? And if you go to Prime Minister, will Prime Minister listen? But if you give a book to Prime Minister, he will read. He will read respectfully. But if you speak, Prime Minister will not give you any time to speak. And if you speak, he will not listen. So who is more powerful? Book is more powerful than you. So I come to Krishna consciousness by reading book. Whole world is situation due to book. And if I want to remain in Krishna consciousness, why not that book? If I don't study, I may leave this. One day I may leave this organization. Then is there any other better organization? So for coming to this organization, need book. And for sustaining in this organization, need book. And if you don't read book, you have to read other book. But if you read other book, if you lose faith, some faith on Srila Prabhupada, who can protect your spiritual life? So now we are in Krishna consciousness by reading book. Our devotion is directly proportional to the faith of Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada's statement. And so many rascals read so many things. If you lose faith in a single statement of Prabhupada, if someone loses faith in Prabhupada, then who can protect his spiritual life? So why we unnecessarily I will take the risk of reading other things?
Why do you think, Maharaj, that some devotees they neglect reading? Because your point is that by reading we became convinced, we joined the movement, but then sometimes devotees think, now I've become a devotee, no reading required. I'm chanting and I no need. So, but you're saying that we need to read in order to sustain our spiritual life. How is it that devotees don't read, if that's so important?
I'll say, when you're not reading, that means if I don't read, then I am proud. If I think I no need of hearing from a spiritual master, that means I am already fallen. If I think I no need of hearing from a spiritual master, no need of hearing from Srila Prabhupada, that means I am already fallen. So it is offense. And due to that proud, and due to pride, you'll gradually go out from this path. Without reading Prabhupada's book, without understanding Prabhupada's book, how they can sustain in this movement?
That's a powerful point. That if we not read, then but in other words, if we are actually humble, if you're submissive and humble, then we naturally feel a need. I'm weak on my own, I cannot do it. I need the shelter of my spiritual master. I need guidance of Prabhupada. So naturally, I want to read, right? I want to take shelter of Prabhupada's Vani. I want to, be connected to Prabhupada's Vani on a regular basis. Yeah.
Yeah, if we want to do bhakti, it means we want to do love Krishna. If we want to love Krishna, that means I want to know more. If I want to know more, who is at the book better than Srila Prabhupada's book? If I don't want to read Prabhupada's book, that means I don't want to know about Krishna. That means I don't want to develop love for God, love of God. Is there any other book can give better conception for Krishna consciousness? No. And not only for knowledge, it's so blissful, Prabhupada's book. It's nourishing, so much enjoyment. See, for last 3 years, we are reading online study group. In the morning time, we are doing Bengali group, and noon time, Hindi group. In more than one, English group, more than Bengali group, more than 150, and Hindi group, more than 100 devotees. Every last 3 years, not a single day stop. Every day we are reading Prabhupada's book, and we are reading book, verse, word meaning, translation and purport. Devotees get so much taste, nobody want to miss the class. Because if we read alone, we can miss so many points. But if we read together, a single point, if somebody miss one point, somebody, what is this meaning? And when we are reading in such a way, we can understand how the depth of Prabhupada's statement, how powerful. And newer and newer realization, every place. Actually, I started from Chaitanya Charitamrita. I thought people will not like Bhagavad Gita because all senior devotees read it. I will start Chaitanya Charitamrita study part. But when I started Bhagavad Gita, nectar and instruction, number increased. They were senior devotees. They were, we never understood Bhagavad Gita in such a way.
I mean, congratulations that you're already doing this for 3 years. That's wonderful. Daily, it's amazing.
And all the devotees only one request: Maharaj never stop this.
I think that's a very key point that you bring up now. That if you read alone, because then it's just us and our mind, and maybe sometimes we are tired. We don't find the discipline.
Focus in every word.
Yeah. But and doing it together, then there is this energy and encouragement.
And another thing, when you're reading together now, I have to read. Yeah, today is meeting this time. I told you my online class that time, so I have to finish before that. I have got somewhere, so I have this time my class, I have to schedule in such way. So as I have that schedule, that I'm forced to read. If I did not have that type of engagement, I may skip. But fortunately, 365 days almost we are reading. And if one day we miss, we sent one Prabhupada's para or 2-3 paras and Nityam Bhagavad Seva, just read every day. If you have no class, at least that very occasional, maybe 5-10 days in a year maybe.
Yeah.
But they will personally read 1 or 2 verses.
Yeah, so that the Nitya Seva is continuing, right? That everyone,
Nityam Bhagavad Seva, written Bhagavad, at least we should follow that.
Yeah, nice.
And Prabhupada's book with purport.
We know that Prabhupada made this statement that I will live forever in my books. Prabhupada said this, that he will be present in his books. Maharaj, what would you say? What is the qualification to actually meet Prabhupada in his books? How can we make this experience that we can experience how Prabhupada is there?
Yeah, like Prabhupada means Prabhupada instruction. Like if my spiritual master or Prabhupada is here, what I'll do? I'll try to follow his instruction. Like if I want to mercy of Prabhupada, the Guru Maharaj, from which market I can get it? It is in his instruction. If I follow his instruction, I'll get the mercy. So all his instruction is there. So if we don't follow his instruction, why will we get Prabhupada? If his Prabhupada is not there in his book, in his instruction, then why is Srila Prabhupada? And Prabhupada personally, why he came? After living like Krishna Sadhama Apagata. Krishna, after leaving this planet, he manifested in the form of book. The same thing, when Prabhupada left, he manifested in the form of his book. At that time, not after leaving. On his presence, he manifested himself in the form of his book.
So that Vani is what is connecting us, which is not different from the person.
If we remain in association with the Prabhupada or Guru, we'll follow the instruction. So now my spiritual master Prabhupada is here or there. What he should do? I have to follow his instruction. So the instruction is here.
Yeah.
In ISKCON, spiritual master is traveling throughout the world. Once a year, meeting with maybe a disciple. So how the disciples are surviving? Following his instruction. So that is same thing. Prabhupada, not in other country. Prabhupada is traveling other planets. We have to follow instruction.
Yeah. You also a teacher in Bhakti Shastri, right? And so we have this Shastric, this study aims,
Yes.
personal application and preaching application, and then also we have this mood and mission.
Yes.
When we read the books of Prabhupada, we get a better understanding of Prabhupada's mood and mission.
Yes.
Can you explain what does it mean, or can you give an example? I mean, what kind of passages do we read that we understand Prabhupada's mood and mission?
Yeah, like Prabhupada in his book is mentioned. Like when Prabhupada is telling, explaining 4th verse of Nectar of Instruction, Dadati Putigina. Prabhupada, this is our mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One is made for loving exchange. Prabhupada gave a nice example. When life member comes, we give little thing, little prasad, and they give money. This way, this is for that purpose. Prabhupada, purpose of ISKCON. Purpose is to make pure devotee. Purpose, our purpose to make Brahmanas. So many thousands of places Prabhupada has mentioned that this is our purpose. His mood is personal, this is our mood. Like in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, in previous, he said, now this world is in need of one society. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita, he finished in his introduction. At last, Eko Shastra Devoki Putram Eko Shastra, he mentioned. And Bhagavatam he started from that statement. This world is need one. That is why we need this one book, is Bhagavatam. And after that, Prabhupada is mentioned, that mission fire from student life. Who is the student life? Childhood life. He gave the example of Prahlad Maharaj. Kumarang Ashirat Prabhu. So Prabhupada, see, Bhagavatam preface only 2.5 pages. He started world need, whole world carry for one society. And then create this Bhagavatam. How? If everybody read Bhagavatam in school and colleges. Not colleges, primary school. Prove Prahlad Maharaj. Then Prabhupada gave instruction how to read class 1, class 2, class 3, one chapter. And at last, out of humility, saying, I have so much inability. Still, he quoted Srimad Bhagavatam verse. Tat bhaga visharga janata. It's a powerful verse. If it is not properly composed, still it will create a revolution. And in that verse, in the middle, in the fifth chapter of first canto, Prabhupada in that purport, he mentioned, like if you went to someone in Western country, if you don't know the language, and if a house caught fire, what will you do? You will wait for the language to learn. You will go outside without knowing the language. You will shout. And amazingly, if they don't understand your language, they'll understand your need. So that is why we should not wait for our qualification. We should shout. This whole world ignited with material desire. Now take Srimad Bhagavatam. so powerful, convincing. One devotee said, if you read Prabhupada's book, two things will happen. One thing, I have to preach because this is the best. No, nothing better than this. And second thing, I have to preach from now. So if we read Prabhupada's book, two things immediately happen. I have to preach and I have to preach from now. Second thing. So that is so convincing, Prabhupada's statement.
You have been involved in a lot of youth preaching. I saw in your biography, no? You have this this student like bases, these student house programs. Yes. That students who study at the university, you provide some places, but then at the same time they are cultivated in Krishna consciousness, right?
Yes.
So how do the student kind of take to Prabhupada's books, or what is your, maybe in general we can talk about the relationship between preaching and reading, like the reading practice of the preacher and then the preaching itself. How is there the connection, and maybe you like to share something also from your experience with the youth and the students?
Like Prabhupada has presented Krishna consciousness in a scientific way. No room for sentiment. So as it is presented in a scientific way, so only intelligent people can understand this. And those who are not reading, how they can understand? So the most important audience actually is students. They're reading. So they're inclined to read. And it's very easy to preach the students. Because those who are corporate, aged person, they have already lost their interest in reading any other book. But students, they are habituated to read. Mm-hmm. And when they read Prabhupada's book is so convincing. So it is very difficult to understand for them. So that is sometimes people complain, oh, why in ISKCON only young, why not old people? Young means they are studying. And when somebody study Prabhupada's book, they will convince. No doubt about it. Mm-hmm. And another thing I have seen, the students, those who are away from the home, away from home means away from their parents and family, when the hostel, when they're practicing, that time they are not getting any negative influence. But those who are staying with their parents, if you give little dose, there is inhibited factor from their home. So those students are staying there out away from their home, like in Western countries. Why Prabhupada got all the boys? Because they're away from their parents. Those are staying with their parents. It is, but those parents, devotee, there is another thing. The non-devotee parents, children are accepting and studying something. If parents saw that, they will become bewildered. What is happening? But 2, 3, 4 months, 6 months, when they're already convinced, that time they can convince their parents. But every time, whatever learning, try to practice home, another negative force, positive force, he will in the touch.
So in this way, it's a good audience to present Krishna consciousness. I understand. Yeah. And
another thing, the young, they have no pressure for earning money and familial burden. So they're fresh. They can think.
Yeah. And yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and certainly we have seen in the past that many devotees came from these kind of preachings. And now, as a preacher, I guess in some way it's obvious that the more I read myself, the more I can also give something, right? There is the process of Shravanam Kirtanam. Now, what should I speak if I have not listened myself? So if I want to become a good preacher, I also need to have a deep understanding of Prabhupada's books.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can talk a bit about, so we spoke about the importance, why it is important, so we can try to cover some topics of, maybe practice. I mean, you already told about the reading groups that you have, which is wonderful. Maharaj, what is your personal favorite book amongst all Prabhupada's books? What is your favorite book or your favorite chapter?
My favorite, even I like, my favorite book is Prabhupada has written only one Bengali book, Gita Gan. Prabhupada, before starting ISKCON, Prabhupada, before going to America 65, Prabhupada wrote, Is it any other planet? And he wrote another Bengali book, he's called Gita Gan. In 1962, it was printed in Gauriya Math. So that whole Bhagavad Gita in poetry form.
Oh, yeah.
Whole Bhagavad Gita 700 verses, but that is Prabhupada wrote almost 1500 verses in Bengali form. And very short form, as I'm a Bengali, I know Bengali better. So I have seen it's very easy to understand Bhagavad Gita and in shortest form. And as Prabhupada has given nice purport also. I can tell you one incident. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada has added only 2 lines. Whole Bhagavad Gita, Gita Gan means Song of Bhagavad Gita. He just translated, but he only added 2 lines. Last 2 lines is not in Bhagavad Gita, but Prabhupada added. That is, Jai Nam Shei Krishna Nahi She Antar Shuddha Nam Jar Hoy Shei Dhurandhar. The meaning is that, just see, this. What is the correction of the Bhagavad Gita? That is the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada. Whole Bhagavad Gita's conclusion, Prabhupada given only 2 lines. Jai Nam Shei Krishna Nahi to Antar. Krishna's name and Krishna is non-different. Shuddha Nam Jar Hoy Shei Dhurandhar. Those who are able to chant pure holy name, he is the most intelligent person. So that is the comment of whole Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada.
Like a sutra, the essence.
Why reading whole Bhagavad Gita? What you want to know? Then why Prabhupada wrote it? Last verse is Jatra Yogeshwara Krishna. Where Krishna, where Arjuna, everything, victory, opulence, fame, everything is there. After that, why Prabhupada gave this line? Because somebody may comment, oh, where is Krishna now? Where is Arjuna now? What is the use of reading that Bhagavad Gita? Because where is Krishna, where is Arjuna, where there is victory, opulence. But now no Krishna, no Arjuna. So why you read Bhagavad Gita then? That is a Prabhupada gave. Jai Nam Shai Krishna. If you chant Krishna's name, Krishna is with you. That means, Jatra Jogeshwara Krishna, there is opulence, everything. If you chant Krishna's name, opulence, victory, everything will be there. That is the mission of Prabhupada.
Beautiful.
And each chapter, Prabhupada gave another 2 lines. Bhakti Vedanta kahe Sri Gitar gan, shune jodi shuddha bhakta Krishna gata pran. Prabhupada is saying, before writing any other book, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya, Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is writing this book, and he is writing, what is the purpose of writing? He has given. Every chapter, he has written the purpose of writing this book. He is saying, Bhakti Vedanta kahe Sri Gitar gan. I, Bhakti Vedanta, writing this book with the purpose of Shune Jodi Shuddha Bhakta Krishna Gata Pran. The devotee who cannot live without Krishna, Krishna Gata Pran. For their pleasure, I am writing this book. So this is the mood of Prabhupada. Not only for preaching. Now another thing, we can see Prabhupada has written everything in English. It was his instruction by his spiritual master. That is, he wrote everything in English. But when he felt something to give, he expressed in his Bengali word, I want to give something. Before that, like when you can see when Prabhupada is going to America, in Jaladhur, he wrote 2 songs. Both are Bengali. Why? Both are prayer to Krishna. When he is praying to Krishna, he was more comfortable in expressing Bengali words.
Nice.
Krishna Purna Hobe Bhai, and second one, Baro Kripa Koile Krishna Adhamer, Markine Bhagavatam. So, Prabhupada has given this whole Bhagavad Gita in poetry form so that pure devotee, those who cannot live without Krishna, for their pleasure, they will read this Bhagavad. That is given song form.
Thank you for sharing that. Very personal. It's nice to, of course, as a Bengali, that's a special connection also. But there is no, is there an English translation of this available?
Yes, English translation available. Yeah.
Okay, I have not read actually.
In Vedabis also there, Gitar Gan. You can type Gitar Gan. Vedabis is there. In number 5, this other books, last will come Gitar Gan. Vedabis is there.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, so then thank you for sharing that. That's nice. So coming to a close, so the interview slowly, just we can talk a bit about giving devotees some advices on how to improve their reading practice. Maybe you have some some tips. Like sometimes devotees, they face some obstacles in reading. They lack time, or they feel distracted, or they don't have a taste in reading. So any advice? Of course, you mentioned the reading groups, which is a powerful way. Any other?
Like it will vary from person to person. We know Bhakti Anukul Matra Karjero Shikar. Bhakti should practice favorably. So, whose book you like? One can read. I don't like Bhagavad Gita. Read Bhagavatam. If you don't like Bhagavatam, read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Whatever you like. Whatever, it is not this. Prabhupada said, no, you read fast, then it is. Prabhupada has given that type of thing. So, whatever you like Nectar of Devotion. how many people will recommend read Nectar of Devotion first? But His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj read this book first and joined ISKCON. So, whatever like, you can start with that book. And if you don't like, you can change your taste, you can switch over other book. Next, if you're not interested alone, study group and study group, circle. Another important, those who are serious in studying, better to associate with them, serve them, please them. If you if Rama serious, really sincere, if I want to be a cricketer, what I'll do? I'll try to associate a cricketer, good cricketer. Try to follow his lifestyle. So if I want to read, those are really reading. I heard the pastimes of those His Holiness Prabhupada Swami Maharaj. How many times? More than 200 times he read Bhagavad Gita. If you heard the lifestyle, life history, a lazy man will get, oh, I have to do. His Holiness Prabhupada Swami Maharaj. How many times he read? And in this so busy schedule, in the health condition, every night, 10 to 12, 1 o'clock, in the big screen, he read every day. Not reading, he Bhakti Vaibhav. If we hear their life history, any lazy person can know why I cannot read. And another thing I'll say, better to fix fixed time. Like we in fixed time for eating, fixed time for sleeping, fixed time for some service. For reading, it will be best to make some fixed service, fixed time. And those who have read so many times, they may say, oh, I have read so many times. They can, if they don't want serially, they can read a topic wise. I want to learn Durga Charit. I want to learn Prahlad Charit. They can read in Sachi also, if they don't want a serially. And those who are scholarly, they can give class. For giving class, you can read. So which one is comfortable? And sometimes, if we are so much giving importance of memorizing, that time we may lose interest. So better not to give so much pressure on the head. So I have to memorize. No need. If you forget, there is no harm. But what I have eaten yesterday, I have forgotten. So what is the loss? Because I have nourished. See, I have eaten yesterday. I have forgotten what menu I have eaten. But I get punishment. So whatever I read yesterday, if I forget now, what is the loss? I got spiritual nourishment. So unless I don't give taxation to the brain, I have to memorize.
I think that's a very important point. Like, because some devotees might feel a bit discouraged, in a sense, I'm not an intellectual person, I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not able to remember shloka, why should I read? But I think that point you just made is powerful, that no, it's not about just an intellectual exercise, but it's about nourishing, getting some spiritual inspiration from the reading. That's a beautiful point. Yeah.
Like hearing like past times, Chaitanya went South India, one Brahman, illiterate Brahman reading Bhagavad Gita. And Mahaprabhu was so pleased because he's following his spiritual instruction and seeing Krishna. So our previous acharyas, Prabhupada, our Guru Maharaj, all Vaishnava wanted that we should read. At least to please them, we should read.
Yes.
That is devotion.
Yeah, what I also hear from you is that, we should encourage devotees to develop that taste. It's not a hard and fast rules, but just do some reading so that you find taste, whatever is good for you.
Yeah, also feel the responsibility. It is my spiritual master desire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also should be fearful. if I don't read, if I lose conviction, so if I give up this Krishna consciousness, where I will go? That fear also important.
You mentioned it in the beginning, like, we need to read just to also sustain our Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Maybe can, the last question I would ask you is, any advices on how to transfer the knowledge, or like there is jnana and there is vijnana, right? There is the theoretical understanding, we read, we absorb some knowledge, but then when it comes to application, so that it becomes vijnana, what can devotees do to actually really apply the knowledge? How can we make sure that we not only read, but that we also start to more and more apply what Prabhupada tells in his books?
I think whatever we are practicing, we should tell that much. If what we are not practicing, better not to tell that. If I tell something which I am not practicing, then listener will think it is good, but it is theoretical. But what I am telling, it is practical, then they listen. And especially we can see we have not seen Prabhupada, but our gurus, Prabhupada, all disciples, all the preachers, you can see their lectures. So simple. Anybody can understand. Because why? It's so convincing. Why? They're practicing. Whatever they're practicing, that much they're telling. So there are so many things to speak. But if we don't practice, better not to tell that. It will not touch their heart. There are a lot of things which are practicing. We are rising Mangalarti, we are chanting 16 now, we are calling for principles. Whatever practicing, that much is enough for others. If they practice that much, that is more than enough. If we are telling this much, what we are practicing, that is more enough for make them Krishna consciousness.
So the speaker is more convincing if he actually speaks from his personal realizations.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. I think we got a lot of wonderful realization and wisdom from you. Do you have, Maharaj, do you have any final statement, any last words, something we have not mentioned and you feel we should also say?
No. Like I can say, I want to give thanks to BBT, the way they are maintaining the score. That is inspiration, the book distributor. And Prabhupada has given a lot of importance. All the leaders, they are giving the importance. Everybody has understood, all the leaders, the importance of book distribution. Everybody understood that the only hope for this world is ISKCON. And the ISKCON means Prabhupada book. So if we really want to do welfare activities in this world, there is no better weapon than Prabhupada book. If we really want to do social welfare activity, one should distribute Prabhupada book.
Wonderful. So the circle is closing because you mentioned in the beginning how you were impressed by Prabhupada's statement that what is real welfare activity, right? And yes, reading Prabhupada's books and distributing them, sharing that knowledge with others, that's the true welfare activity. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada book ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.